the greater the creation is, the more sophisticated the creation is. It indicates about the brilliance of the Creator, right? To make a chair, it's easy. To make a camera, it's much harder. To make a computer, it's even harder. To make a spaceship is much, much harder. So obviously, the more advanced and sophisticated is the creation, it's teaching about how great is the Creator, what's His abilities, His wisdom. He's able to do things that not that many people can do. When we review the world, right away we know no creation in a history come even near a human being. Let's talk 1 minute about the brain. The brain of a person is more than 100 times, with more than 100 times wires and connection than all the telephone companies in the world combined. Take all the networks all over the world, in thousands of countries, take all the internet, all the wires, all the cell phone, all the satellite, will not be equal to 1% of the dumbest person on earth. So now, if we look inside with a microscope, we find out that the brain is 80% liquid and only 20% wires. And the wires are so thin that if you take one hair out of your head and you try to look at that in the sun, you cannot see it. That's how thin it is. So take this hair and divide it by 1,000. That's how thin are the wires inside the brain. And they go in such a sophisticated way, and they cross each other and touch each other. And if you only cut one of them from the 10 trillion connections, one tiny wire you cut, or if you put a little pressure on the brain from inside, you send the finger in and you touch one place in the brain, the person freezes and he cannot move. That's it, for the rest of his life. So it's very interesting. The people who try to say that this brain was done by itself, I believe that we have to make them an appointment with a psychiatrist immediately, because they're not exactly normal. To claim that something like this can be done by a random explosion, who would say such a foolish thing? Obviously, there's a brilliant creation to this brain.